Shamrock Creek.
Back when we built the bathhouse, we did some water catchment experiment there. It's been in a couple previous videos. I'll show you a clip of it. But we put a 50-gallon barrel there. The little tiny building captured lots of water. It was great. It's amazing how much water this little tiny shed is catching. I know I said before in the last video. So this building will produce very little water because the roof isn't that big. That this wasn't going to catch anything because it's so small, but it's actually catching water pretty well. I'm shocked. The big plan, as you probably have heard me say before, is to do large-scale water catchment. I mean, tens of thousands of gallons. We're not there yet. It's on the list. We'll get there soon. However, we do have up on the hill a 500-gallon tank. And as you've seen, we have that 100-gallon portable tank. So we bring water up, have a pump that runs the 100 gallons out of the truck up to the big tank. We fill it every so often. We got 500 gallons. It lasts for a long time. Works great. So that water runs down to a spigot down on the other side of the property there. We put all that in before we even started building the cabin and everything. So, you know, we hadn't really planned out where things should go. So that works great. However, it's all the way across there. And we thought, well, we got the building up. Let's do some basic water catchment and have water closer to the building so we can fill the dog water bowls, get dishwater for cleaning dishes and hands and things. So we figured let's just catch some of the water on the roof we have here. I didn't want to put all the gutters in yet because that's part of the design for the larger water catchment system, and I didn't want to put a bunch of stuff up we won't reuse. However, we did run three lengths of the 10-foot gutter. And when we go to put in the big system, that downspout right there, we'll just pull that out, and then these can slide in the existing tracks they're mounted on, and we can adjust them. The downspouts for the large-scale system will be at the other end. They'll drop down and go to tanks down the hill, long-term. But what we did today was we tossed up this 100-gallon tank we had. We used a bunch of, bought a couple parts, but we used a bunch of spare parts we had laying around, and we actually built a catchment off of that downspout there. So down, we just used some, this is actually the pipe we used for the sewer lines in the bathhouse for the shower drain. We had some leftover parts sitting in the box, so we grabbed those. Those are 2-inch. And then we had already purchased a couple of these 1.5-inch. So we built this thing. I've got one of these here so I can release it here and break this line without tearing it all out if I have to, if we have to move the tank for some reason. And then what we did is we just put this overflow here. This valve will actually stay open. And we just used a hose because the hose runs out and then just goes down the hill over there. So the idea is that as this tank fills up, hits up the water here, it'll fill up here, it'll keep filling until it hits this point, at which point everything will just flow out this way. And it should just, you know, when it comes down, it'll actually just go out rather than going into the tank. And then as we lower the tank, it'll fill back up. So it should work pretty good. It's similar to the little one we did on the bathhouse, only that one doesn't have a valve and all that stuff. It just has an overflow on it. And then we just have the valve at the bottom there, just a standard faucet bib type valve for filling up whatever we need or to wash hands, etc. Anyways, we threw that in today. It's supposed to rain later today, so we'll see if it works. And we didn't really kind of permanently put it all in, so it'd be easy to adjust it, take it apart. When we do get ready to do the big system, you know, obviously we'll take that guy out because we won't need it. But I wanted to share that because I know some people had asked about water catchment and what we were doing. And these are kind of just our experiments. As I said, we've just experimenting with things with the longer term goal to be, you know, large scale water tanks filled off of catchment and then running through like a pressure pump and a filter system. We will filter all the water eventually. So you may recognize that little guy down there that's sitting on that wood stand was the thing we built to mount the Dishy Starlink system on back in the early days. And I had it left over. I was like, oh, that's perfect because it's so well built. It's built out of an old pallet and some scrap lumber we had laying around. And that was over 2 years ago, and it's still going strong. Now it's going to hold this thing up. So